Marital conflicts have been on the increase, especially during this time of COVID-19. Some conflicts have escalated to the extreme, with the unfortunate results of death of one of the spouses or both or children. The Bible says that children are a gift from the Lord, but sometimes they have become the source of marital conflicts. Why? Stay tuned as we learn more in today's episode of The Marriage Classroom.
Now here again we are in the marriage classroom. You excited today?
Yes.
Yes, because we are learning every day. I don't know whether, even me as a teacher, I know I learn every day.
Yes.
Because as I prepare to come and teach, it's not because I've graduated. I hope you remember that we're in this class because we are learning together. I've not also graduated and I don't think I'll graduate. So what I'm doing is we are learning together. So we are looking at areas or issues of conflict in marriage. And we've looked at roles and responsibilities in an earlier lesson. The other lesson we also did on, remember? Children, yeah? And children. And we looked at many areas of conflict. But there was one area that we did discuss, which is important. We look at it. Deliberately, I want us to discuss it in this, because not only in this lesson, because it may not be exhausted in 2 lessons or 1 lesson, but we will continue talking about it. Issues of children, but now on the issues of discipline of children. Because we say children are a blessing, isn't it?
Yes.
But you know there are those times when we bring up children, and instead of being a blessing, what do they become? Sometimes people think they are a curse, isn't it?
Yes.
Because they either bring us sicknesses, lifestyles, diseases, stress. Some of them even plan to kill. You've heard of cases, and unfortunately, this time where children are planning and killing their parents. The blessings have become now curses. But that is not so. But there is an issue that we need to talk about and frankly talk about it, parents. And as we are in marriage, is how are we taking seriously the discipline of our children? Yes. So they may be there as they are young, they all look very innocent. I mean, you can look at a child na unasema utakuwa wanogo au washosho umwangalia hivi. You can't. They are all ages. But they learn and they pick out a behavior because either the parents taught them, the community taught them, or they learned from what you call precarious learning. So I pray that as parents and people that are taking the godly responsibility, we are going to raise our children as the Lord looks at. So let's look at the disciplining of children. Or the children's discipline. And maybe as you think about discipline, what comes into mind? Tabia, you say caning, beating,
kunyoroshwa tu mzuri.
Kunyoroshwa mzuri. Na kiboko au makucha au meno. Wengine walikurwa meno. Judge.
Proper guidance in whichever, in diverse form, and in a particular standard.
Yes.
Yes.
Because we realize that, as I was remarking in the last class, remember I said, there are those times when we think children are, dictating to us when they don't even know what you are telling them.
Yes.
Okay? When you are talking about a child who is 1 week, na unasema ameamua au kameamua hatulali, hata ukimuuliza sincerely, kanajua kweli amuna rangi? Doesn't even know about your routines and everything. So what do you do to such a child? It is you train them.
Yes.
You don't beat them. You train them. But I know anytime we think about discipline, we are thinking about beating, maybe punishment and all that. But when the Bible talks about disciplining the children, I want us always to remember Proverbs 22, verse 6. So that we get the proper way of discipline. The Bible talks about train up a child in the way he should go or he should grow. Because it's not only going, I think it's about growing, isn't it? Yes. And even when he is old, he will not depart from it. So how are you going to train this child? From the day that they are born. Training takes time. So training is not simply beating. It is this. You want the child to sleep during the night. During the day, but when a child is so small, they are supposed to sleep, in fact, if possible, more than they wake up. It should be 23, 22 hours, 20 hours per day. That's how they grow also. So, but if they are not sleeping, means either somebody is not meeting their needs well. Because a child is fed, a child is staying, once they are not wet, and they are comfortable, they are warm, they will just be asleep. They don't even know that those are your hearts. Ati kanapenda kushikwa. Kanajua kweli kushikwa ni nini? Ni sisi tu tunasema, but sometimes because of bad parenting, we don't want to accept that we are not the ones who are training our child, because sometimes leaving her there when she is not wet, when she is not hungry and all that, and she cries a bit, it's like we can't bear that crying. It's healthy for the child. Once they learn that they don't have a need, they will rest or sleep, and that's what is supposed to be for them.
Yes.
And it's very important. Hii kukaa na mtoto hapa, you are not, that's not the right discipline. So when you talk about discipline, it's not equivalent to inflicting pain or punishment, or what we call exercising control. To punish is when we talk about to chastise and all that, take vengeance or inflict pain. But the correct word of discipline is when we talk about imparting a skill or knowledge. So when the Bible says training up a child, when you are being trained, you are learning more of the skills. You are learning more of the knowledge, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So what are we supposed to be doing as parents? It is more of giving them the rules and regulations and guidelines of operations.
Yes.
So if it is a child who is supposed to be sleeping at night, during the day, you can keep the child awake. You can decide, maybe you wake her up, whether she cries, I know she'll, you don't say that she wants to sleep. Yes, maybe if she has the habit of waking at night and sleeping during the day, you can change the habit if you are out. Mm-hmm. So you are training the child. Huyo huwezi chapa. Training can even start as early as when a child is breastfeeding. And then kanauma, and then unakangalia, unakuja uzo, si lazima uchape toa. Ukikuja uso, they look at your face and know, I did something wrong. Mom is not smiling. And they will not repeat. That is still training. Okay? So when we impart knowledge, we teach to guide. We teach, we guide, we also instruct. Before you punish a child, first tell them what they are supposed to be doing. I know there are those times we didn't even know what we did right or what we did wrong.
Yes.
Tunasikia tu, toa, ni nini? Sasa unauliza, unaambiwa, sasa wana vile unafanya, then you didn't know. What about first we were taken time, we were told, ukienda, shule usichelewe ukuje saa hii. Okay? So ukipitisha hii, you've already gone beyond. So first establish what we call guidelines, rules, and even as you give those rules, give them what can follow. You see, wakati mwingine wanauliza, utadu? Okay, unasema nisiingie hapa 6. So they want to know, utadu? But have you given them what will be the logical consequences? And if the logical consequences are realistic, then you follow them. Okay? Yes. That's now what it means to discipline. The Bible talks about, when we talk about training, it is where now you're given enough time. Because once they are grown, they don't depart from that route. Because they already know the route to follow. Mm-hmm. We have 2 types of discipline. We have what we call the preventive. Preventive. And then we have what we call redemptive. redemptive, sometimes we call it corrective. Mostly parents use the redemptive or corrective more than the preventive. Because sometimes even without knowing, you have never known this was wrong. So sometimes by the beating, that's the time you realize, I think, hii ni baya. But you never knew that that was not the right thing. So it is important that we help our children know that, what first, how to operate from, so that by the time they are missing out, they already know, hii nilikosea, si kwa sababu sikujua, ni kwa sababu niliamua. And let them also get the consequences of disobedience, okay?
Yes.
So when we talk about preventive, is the purpose of it is to prevent. It is, we are trying to prevent an occurrence of disobedience or what you call disloyalty.
Yes.
So it's more like what we call proactive. It's like when we are saying what is the right thing to do. You see, I know we got the instructions sometimes in the negative. Umeachiwa githeri. So githeri, your parent would say, mweke maji moto na muangalie kama maji imeisha ili ikiva mtakuja kula, okay?
Yes.
The issue is this, msipofanya hivyo itu utaungua, okay? Au haitaiva. But sometimes what was the instructions? Can you remember? Mushinde mwana, chomeni mtoto.
The negative one.
The negative. You are not even given what is to do, sometimes even it will be like that, but nikikuja mtanikula, okay? That is not really preventive.
Yes.
That is more of redemptive. And I don't think even we really have, I know we learned to not even know what to do.
Hard way.
But sometimes we didn't even do the right thing because we didn't even know what would bring a reward and what would bring a punishment. So how many of us, like me, who would be asked, Jerry, hata ukuosha vyombo, unasema, hukuniambia. Mami don't know, it's like, if mom didn't say it, I can't even think what is the right thing to do. Because somehow, it was all like, hata unaweza kuwa hukuwa unafikiria unachapwa, na hakusema. So we find that some part of that discipline, as we thought, it was not preventive.
Yes.
It was more of redemptive. But even as we were corrected, sometimes we would not even know what was a mistake about. I keep saying I didn't understand what was the mistake. One day when I was beaten because of slaughtering my chicken. Because I was never told why. You see, you were given your chicken. I had been given. I came home with it. I took care of it. So I have always seen mom akichinja kuku. So wakati wa sikukuu, kwa nini nisichinje kuku yangu? Ilikuwa yangu. Okay. The issue was this. Yeah. It was. So nilichapwa na unanyimwa mpaka nyama ya kuku hiyo. Nani yako. Do you see now, up to today, why I can't understand? I would, if you have been told, okay, ni yako, lakini ukitaka, kwa sababu ziko hapa, you are allowed to be told what you can do and what you cannot do. So after that, now you can imagine now, after that is like, what was wrong with it? Okay. So some of those things you don't tell. So when you talk about corrective, is where now we set consequences and we deliver the children from what we call violation. So in this case, when you talk about the redemptive, is this: in case they have what you had taught them, they have disobeyed, then let the redemptive follow. But we will talk about how do you do the redemptive. Let's say like this. I used to go with my children to the supermarket. So they would say, Mom, nikupeleka supermarket. Sema ya twende. Lakini before we go, we agree. Tukienda huko, mimi naenda kununua majani, sukari, mafuta. Umesikia? Hiyo ndio pesa niko nayo. Na mama tukitaka toe nawaambia hiyo ni ya siku nyingine. So we have already agreed on how we are going. So tunaenda huko. Then after I've taken and I'm going and then anapita pesa. Mama nataka toy. Now we don't struggle and I said, see, unakumbuka vile mimi nataka. I said taka tu. Kupata ndio shida saa hii kwa sababu hata pesa haitoshi. Haya mimi nitachukua nampea tray. Weka. So weka zako. So tukifika pale kwa till, si mtu analipia kile amechukua. Okay? So I had said what I wanted to buy. So I come and I count and I say, anasema na yangu kuna pesa. Mom, so I said not now. So even though they misbehave, we just tell them, do you know what you have done? You have disobeyed. Tutapatana mbele. I will follow the consequences after. I don't have to do it there, but I have already given the warning. Next time, that is already known what can follow. Okay?
Yes.
If possible, if they become a little bit unruly, just avoid a scenery there. The best thing is, mtoto amekwamia kwa till, wewe jiondoe, toka nje. Akiona umeenda, hatatoka bio. Hata kama analia, ameshapata hiyo. Then after that, deal with the misbehavior.
Yes.
Once you deal with it, they already know what are the consequences because we had agreed on what to do. Redemptive must follow. But first there must be the preventive.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So like another time I'm in the supermarket and this guy who is screaming and removing things from the tray and throwing down. So the first thing I had to do is to get her attention. Now, niangalie. And then I just told her, unajua hapa ni wapi? Supermarket. Hatupigi duru. Hebu sikiza. Kuna mtu anapiga analia. Now with all those, I've already set a rule and a regulation. Here is a supermarket, we don't cry or scream. So I ask her, umesikia mwingine anapiga duru? So unaona kuna watoto wengine hapa, unaona wakilia? So can you shut up? I told her, nyamaza. Kanaangalia. Na shosho yake na mama yake walikuwa wameshindwa. Hata wanawachapa wakiwekelea kitu kwa tray anatoa na a 3-year-old. I told her, sitaki nisikie sauti tena. Unyamaze. Na nisione ukichapa mama au shosho. Unasikia? Kaliangalia hivi, but I've already set rules and regulation. Before now I meet the consequences. She didn't know what I can do, but I'd already told her. No throwing away of things from the tray again, no screaming in the supermarket, and no beating shosho or mom. And that's all. So what you do, give first the redemptive. So let's look at what the Bible says. Proverbs 19 verse 18 says, discipline your children, for in that there is hope. Do not be a willing party to their death. I want to say this, sometimes parents, we are willing parties, or we tunachangia katika kifo cha watoto wetu. Kwa sababu ya nini? Ya kamami na kababa. Hakuna mtu anaweza guzwa. Okay? Unaona mtoto hata anaweza kuchapa mama, nachapa wewe, and then nasema wacha kuchapa mimi. No, that one is unacceptable. She starts beating you when she's 2-year-old and you think it is still all right. When she replays it when she'll be a teenager, do you think it will be unacceptable? She learned to do it. To answer you back. I mean, no, mtoto, yes, do that. To me, you just don't do that. But this is it. You, whatever you want, you don't even get. It is, you see, like, I realize sometimes when children want to get with on you is, they want something. Nataka, si atake tu. After that, katanyamaza. But don't make a scene. You don't even have to say, hutaki, hupati, nataka. Nyamaza. If it is something that she can't reach, if it is, she wants something, it's a phone, ni yako, and you are arguing, you can't place it somewhere where she can't reach and tell her, that is my phone, that is my, does not belong to you. If you have to use it, I have to get permission from me. Hata kakitaka, katake tu. Okay? Anataka mayai. Hauna kuku, haijataga, sikatake tu. What is the issue? Eh? You know, some of these I keep wondering, who is the adult here? Because they put us at that receiving end. It's like, you're desperate on what to do. No, be the adult and take charge. And no beating. It's not, I'm not saying you don't beat. I've said let it come after. It follows what we call logical consequences. But before that, be firm. Sometimes we just say, use your finger, your eyes, and you're not mincing your words, as you said. So let's look at how, when the Bible says we do not be part of the, in their death, because indiscipline can really actually cause death. This is what we call basic, I would call them basic principles when we are disciplining our children. We'll just look at them briefly. One of them is this: let it begin early in life. And I've emphasized this. From a small infant, toddler, when to eat, when to go to bed, that is discipline. Let them know this is not where they have always been. They were in the womb. They don't even know your hands. The best place they can be, equivalent to a womb, is when all their needs are met and they are warm. Make sure they are warm, they are not cold, they are not wet, they are not hungry. Children don't even know who their mother is at that age. They only know a caregiver. So give them their needs and let them be children sleeping. So let it start early. When it comes even to issue of like when a child is misbehaving, akiwa mdogo anauma mama, that is where we give what we call a disapproving look. Just that, not a slap, because unachapa katoto kadogo atakajui kalikuwa tu kana jaribu meno kwa sababu it's itchy, kanashika kitu kanauma, then you say kameniuma. She was never intentional, but kuna vile kanakaa kanajua how they get at you. If now they get into the habit, you can realize huyu amezoea. So then after that, it's also be unified. I've said be in agreement. Agree on how to give the discipline. Who does it and how he does it. Be in agreement. Because if you're not in agreement, what happens? Unachapa mtoto, anakimbia kwa baba yake. Mama amenichapa. Alafu the dad wants to be a good one, says, nani amechapa mtoto yangu, msichana yangu? Mwambie acha kuchapa msichana wangu. So mtoto anakuja anakuambia umeambiwa na daddy. You know, as much as we think it is innocent, what does that child know? Mom, eh? Yes. One is inferior, the other one is naeza tu, tumwa niambie nikanye mama asinichape tena. Hata nikiwa na makosa. No. You should not be party to the death, because usually when we talk about these girls who come even later and hate their moms, they don't even want to listen to their moms. Sometimes it's where the father was a party to the indiscipline of that girl. No, the mother could not have corrected her. Any misbehavior, she goes to the father, and the father is like, my daughter. Okay? And those cases have replayed later, and then you realize they'll just become misbehaved because they know somebody will support them. My baby. And so let us be in one voice. We speak in one voice as it comes to issues. And then when it comes to discipline, let it not be one person. Today, if it is the mother, next time if the father is there, the mother can tell the father, this girl did like this. And you agree, we ndio mtamchapa. Nasema mimi sitaki nataka mchape because they will realize mama ndiye anatuchapanga, dada atuchapi. Okay? When it comes to the issue, if one of them, if you are both there, let you take roles when it comes to disciplining, even kupeana onyo. Si kusema mmalize mwende mkalale, and then wanaangalia dad, halafu wanasema so wamalize hii kipindi waende, na you've already contradicted one another in their presence. Yes.
Kitu kingine naweza changia when it comes to hiyo discipline, kuna ile scenario yenye unapata a child kama ni msichana, let's say a teenager, alienda nje na marafiki zake bila ruhusa.
Yes.
Akikuja anapata dad. Anaambia dad, unajua anaulizwa umetoka wapi? Nimetoka mahali fulani na marafiki zako. Ulisema hapana. Alafu mtoto anaambia daddy na usiambie mama. Hiyo ni kitu kingine yenye huwa inachangia indiscipline.
True. And in fact that really is something that should never be. That there will be something, na usiambie daddy au usiambie mami, na what is happening? Mtoto amewaganya. And she has already known that kuna pahali naweza potea. Yes, George.
I think alongside that, the deficiency in such kind of a scenario is that there are no set standards, because we need to have set standards. If it's in a family, if kama kuingia si baada ya 6,
yes,
it is a universal rule.
True.
And principle in that family.
Si baba anakuja asubuhi.
Si baba anakuja asubuhi.
Mama.
Na tena si mmoja amesema. Like when we were growing up in our family, we knew that it was a standard kuita mtu kwenda. Hiyo ingekuwa ni vita ingine mbaya. So we knew na kuambia mtu ni haku. So it was a crime, actually. So, but you see, when it is a standard, a common standard in that family, whatever mom says no, dad will also say no. So that standard, we don't have ati kuna sheria za mama na sheria za baba.
Yes.
Kwa sababu there will be contradiction.
That's why we say you be unified. You
Yes.
be one. Whatever, and if possible, don't contradict in the presence of the children.
Yes.
You may find like one has said something that is very harsh. If you can, let the children go to sleep. If you have said let them go at 9, and they had said they would want a kipidi, if you have said that, we don't say no, waachilie waone. You know, the next time they will realize, wewe wata uwezi sema hapa. Ni daddy huwa anasema. So, but what you can do is once they go, you can say, it is also all right to allow the children to do this, yes, or allow them to do this. But because maybe we had not agreed, that's why I allowed them to go, ili tuongee baadaye. What you are saying is this: if people are in agreement, if they are in talking terms, if they are negotiating, even these issues do not have to become a mountain, from a molehill to, yes.
Okay, thank you. Maybe a concern, should the children be engaged in setting the rules and maybe the disciplinary measures? Because at times you find a child may say, these rules are too harsh for me. And there was a scenario, and I had a class 8 girl, a friend, and she was like, I'm tired of the rules in this house. And dad told me, nikishindwa na sheria za hii nyumba, nitoke niende. And she was really ready to go. So should they be engaged in setting up the rules and the disciplinary measures?
That is very correct. It's good. But at what age? Because we say from 0 when they are young and they up to 5 years, you are the benevolent dictator. I believe as an adult you know what is right for them. Mtoto akisema sitaki kula maharagwe and you know this protein, unataka kula nini? Chips. Mama utakuwa ukipea mtoto chips kwa sababu hiyo ndio anataka. The issue is this: you are the benevolent dictator. That time you are not negotiating, you give them what is important. After that, start negotiating. But remember, the next stage, you are a coach. It is where you are training them, but you're giving a way of initiate, what you call initiative. But you cannot leave them to make their rules. Sometimes they don't even know what is right for them. Okay? Yes, George.
Just to add on that, I think as you set the rules as a parent,
yes,
it is important, as you had said earlier, that you give the reasoning,
yes,
behind what you have set.
yes.
If, like the way you said that if it's maharagwe, waeleze vizuri, that this is protein, is very important for your health. So once they get to understand whatever rules you are setting,
yes,
and the benefit,
yes,
and the consequences of going against those rules, I believe they are going to comply. For example, I normally sit with my young boy here, 7 years. Ninamwambia, unasikia watoto wanaibiwa. So don't accept anything from anyone. Na sasa yeye hiyo iko ndani yake. At a certain time alijaribu, hatukuwa karibu, ajaribu kutumana achukuliwe shuleni badala ya kuletwa na basi nyumbani, hawezi kubali kwa sababu anaelewa that I was told that I keep off from strangers. So that reasoning will enable even the children to comply.
Yes.
Because you tell them the benefits, the advantages, the
Yes.
disadvantages,
Yeah.
what will become of them if they don't comply.
True.
So I think it is going to
As
work.
long as you have explained, like
Yes.
even maharagwe, where you just tell them, they may not understand much about proteins and all that. Wambie, si unataka kuwa mkubwa, uwe kama dadi. Hii maharagwe ikienda huko, you just explain with things that are true, factual, but at their level of understanding. So you don't have to say they go, they bring cells, meiosis, acha kustua mtoto nako. So what you do, just tell them exactly what that food, unakuwa na nguvu,
Yes.
unakuwa na kinga, huyu mgonjwa sana. Now they understand, wow, hii nikikula nitakuwa
Kama daddy.
Then that's all. And that's all, and that's the reasoning. When it comes to teenagers, negotiate about the rules. But sometimes there is also that part where we say, you are the adult. You already know. You've been there. They will say, si hata nilikuja jana usiku na sikupata mtu hapo. Kwani anakaa akiwagojea hapo. Things can happen anytime we give them preventive. Yes. So we continue the discussion in our class because there's a lot that we can talk about display. And I hope our viewers, you follow us on the same as we discuss. Thank you.
Psalms 127, 3 verse 5. Children are a gift from the Lord, a productive womb the Lord rewards. As arrows in the hands of a warrior, so also are children born during one's youth. How blessed is the man who quivers is full of them. He will not be ashamed as they confront their enemies at the city gate. In today's discussion during the break,
Yes, we still looking at discipline of children. And I think you realize there are many areas of discipline that we need to look at it. But now we are looking at how to do it, okay?
Yes.
Because sometimes if we don't understand how to do the discipline, sometimes we think we are disciplined and wengine umeona wamepiga watoto mpaka wameua.
Yeah.
Okay? Wengine ni ku, later you regret because sometimes it is the measure or you didn't even know how.
Yes.
So it is important that we realize exactly what can help in the discipline of children. And we are looking at one of the things that we need to agree, be unified.
Yes.
So kiwango,
Yes.
kiwango ni gani? Kama ni mtoto sincerely wa mwaka moja, what is the best way to discipline a child?
Okay.
They are learning maybe to talk, and then they get a word. Okay. To remember my son having one word. I don't know where he gotten it. Like you're saying kwenda, they get a word outside there, but they keep repeating it. And even though it's 1 year, now which is the best way to discipline such a child? Is it by spanking?
No.
Yes.
For me, I can say the best way is you show that child, this is a 1 year child, hajui kitu, ndani yake hakujawekwa zile vitu mingi, so unamuonyesha kama ni hii glass inafaa kukaa hapa, muonyeshe inafaa kukaa hapa. Kama ni hiyo maneno anatoa kwa mdomo, unamwambia kusema hivi ni vibaya, kwa sababu ndio wakati anasoma, ndio wakati anaenda akisoma, na vile anaenda akikua, kile chenye ulimwambia kutoka utotoni na hiki ni kibaya, hata kirudia.
Okay.
And then again, when it comes to these small children, nimeona they mostly do what they see you do, not
Yes.
what you say.
Yes.
So when it comes to kama ni hiyo jina mbaya amesema, umemsikia akisema, unaweza muelezea asiseme, and then tena wewe venye utakuwa ukizungumza ataenda akisahau. So you can find another alternative. Kama ni hiyo neno alikuwa amejifunza, find something else, then ita replace, because wanafanya venye wewe unafanya. Yes.
And so, just like you said, one of the best ways is where you disapprove. He says, no.
Yes.
No. So once they says it, no saying, or that is not acceptable.
Yes.
Okay? Au, hiyo ni maneno baya. And that's all, maneno baya. Depending, I also know, one of the things we also teach parents is to use also your eyes and your hands. So when you say no, no, and that's all. So it's followed by one no. So they always know that they get that disapproval every time they say that they will. Now, there was a case of a child who now had gotten used, now that was a bigger one, who had gotten used to calling people Puda. Okay? But now the mother thought, said, now you had memchapa aski. So one of the now I went home and we were discussing. She said, called Puda. I said, no, you see, you acceptable. No, it says Puda. I said, no. So the next time we did, they said, now don't call Puda, just do like this. And then he continued. I just still did like this. And then he's like, looked at me. I told him, najua sitaki kukuchapa, lakini nitaacha Puda ikiisha. Imeisha. Then we agreed. Kaniambia zimeisha, akasema hata mimi sitakuchapa. And we became friends. After that I said, I'm not sitakuchapa kwa sababu si Puda imeisha. And that's all. And we became friends. After that, he was the one who was telling me, so ameitana Puda. Because now for him he's realized this is not, because there's a way also you disapprove, but also now the child thinks you hate the child. Yeah.
But you correct with love.
Yeah, correct. Then the other thing, part of what I've said is consistency. You know, there are sometimes we give up. Like when the mother is telling me, nimejaribu kumchapa, and amechoka, but you're not consistent. Okay? So when if you're not consistent of disapproving, it's like you let go one time, they realize, you didn't mind it, unachoka. They wear you out. But if you have said no, so tomorrow it is no, tomorrow it is no. So you don't compromise.
Yes.
Okay? Again, when it comes to children, like when we are teaching them the discipline, let's say like now, realize sometimes we either do more of the redemptive than corrective, yeah? Let's say a child is curious. Like now, I have had a fridge since my children were young. But I have a key, but I've never locked the fridge. The reason is because I realized as much as I lock it, they keep getting curious what is inside there. Okay? And then after that, after they are so curious, I may not be the only one who is there. I may have a new house girl who does not remember to, and they always know when somebody has missed out. So what I would do is, when I see the child is curious, I said, nitakuona iya mom. So I first tell her, the fridge near mom. Because one of the things you also teach children is what is theirs and what is not theirs. Yes. So nawambia ya mom. So when they say ya mom, wanaguza, nitakuona Dani. So tunafungua. Halafu namwambia parity. So we just say parity. And then we start just touching kidogo, when I say mayai and all that. So they already know what is inside. Yes. They have seen. And then after that, tunafunga parity. No, you see, you've already shown this child, this is what is inside there, but it is called baridi, because at that time it's only. So after that, utaona kakikuja kanafuga, sema baridi, then kanafuga, but they've already gotten the lesson.
Yes.
When it comes even to fire, kama ni kando, unaona mtoto anapeleka. Usika ukisema, wacha, they will keep trying. So what do? Unampeleka kado, unambuzisha kidogo, so every time they will be seen and saying, after that, now you already taught her life lesson.
Yes.
Hata ndakiona bab kama ile, bora tu inakaa bab anasema no, they may not know that bab cannot burn them, but they've already gotten something, yeah?
Yes.
So sometimes, and if they insist on touching, we say once they learn what is logical consequence, if they are not so severe.
Yes.
Like you kidogo kuuza kado, si ati ya chomeke. Now that one you are preventing another day when they may try to play with the fire.
Yes.
So that's why we say consistency, and also when it comes to the issue of firmness.
Yes.
Let them explore together with you. I had a sideboard where they would want just to see what it is. So we just open. And then we go to the cups. Ya mom. So they will touch everything saying ya mom, because you've already taught them what is theirs. If it is their toy, unasema ya mati. Okay? Kama ni computer, ya dad. So let them know, this is so and so's, this is so and so's. So anytime they want that, they already know, I get permission.
Yes.
So vyombo ni za mom. Tunafungua ya mom. Vijiko ya mom. So hata nakufungulia nakwambia ya mom. Ya mom. Hivi. And that's all. That's the preventive discipline. You've already showed them how to operate.
Yes.
But after that now, if they ever went there and removed those things that are moms, kama ni kikombe na angushe, you've already told them.
Yes.
Those things don't belong to them.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Now the other issue is this. When it comes to discipline of children, whether they are, they are older or young, let's do it if possible in private. I know we were done. Ile unapigwa iwe funzo
Kwa wengine.
wako na kwa wengine kama ile
Wenye
koti
nia.
wenye nia kama
hiyo.
kama hiyo. So you are hata unatolewa nje. Kila the village knows.
Mimi nilipigwa shuleni mbele ya watoto na my father. Na ni ile unajua kitambo sasa unachapwa ukiwa umelala chini. Unachapwa mbele ya watoto shule mzima. Alafu unaambiwa usimame useme asanti.
Kwa kuchapwa.
Sasa hiyo inakuweka kitu ingine ambayo unasikia yani umeshushwa and I was a class 5 girl. Unashushwa kabisa, unasikia ni kama kwamba you are an enemy to anyone. Unaweza hata fanya kitu mbaya na I'm sorry to say this, ikanifanya nichukie masomo kabisa. Kabisa. Kwa sababu unaona hii ni kitu baba labda pengine ulikosea shuleni akafikishiwa, akajilete shuleni. Sasa wakati amejilete anakudiscipline mbele ya watoto, mpaka watoto wadogo.
So na kwa akisema yule ndile alichapwa. Yule msichana yeye alichapwa.
Mimi nilichapwa nikiwa class 8 and by my father in school. Na tulichapwa nikiwa class 8. Na it was so embarrassing kuchapwa mbele ya wasichana. Yes, we didn't like it.
Sometimes they thought when you embarrassed is like you
are disciplined.
You are disciplined. I don't know anyone who has ever been disciplined in.
My mom was the military.
So
Vita anywhere.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
And any part. Pia mateke na town.
Tena discipline ya saa hii na discipline ya kitambo. Parents wenye walitulea ni kama waliona as if we don't understand. Kwa sababu mtoto wa saa hii kama vile pastor anasema huwa wanakaa na Sami wanaongea na mwambia na anasikia. Wazazi wetu ni kama waliona kama hatuwezi tukaelewa. At the same time they didn't have time. Ile masaa ako nayo ni ile ya kukushika, amepata umefanya kitu hana time hata ya kukuelezea na hii ulifanya ni makosa.
Ni makosa.
So yake ilikuwa ni ya kuja kushike akutandike na hiyo iwe ni hivyo. Na hata hakuambia amekupiga kwa nini.
Remember my sister ile tu kwa utoto unaona gari ya veterinary. Na that was the only vehicle kwa village. Anasema unataka nisimamishe, unajua leo mtoto anasimama barabara halafu kanatoka. Sasa huyu akakuja veterinary officer akasimamisha. Msichana hebu kuja. The innocent girl goes. Anashikwa. Kachapwa. Halafu sasa ikaenda ikafikishiwa mama. Sasa kuna vita ya mama. Baadaye kuna vita ya dad. Halafu mtoto mmoja anafikisha shule. Sincerely, unajua all that could have been tell this child this was stupid. I mean, this was not the way you do. Unaweza gongwa na gari na nini, you teach. But now the issue is this: the excesses of the punishment. Sometimes it's extreme discipline. You guide the child. You say the spirit of the child, as you say. You hate masomo because it goes beyond, because now the child really. So when it comes to discipline, it's very important that we just realize. Don't discipline in public. If possible, go and talk to that child. Hata kama ni kwenda kwa bedroom. Unajua makosa yako umefanya hivi. Umechapa ndugu yako. Tulikuwa tumeongea tusichapane kwa nini and all that. So unajua makosa yako. So you know what should follow. And then after that mnatoka. They already know. Makosa ndio imefanya nini? Nichapwe.
What about teenagers? What about teenagers sasa? Ama tu wenye sasa hivi wametoka hiyo teenage wenye wako hapo juu kidogo. Unajua hata ukiwa explainia, ukiwaongelesha hawasikii.
Hiyo ni kama tunasema ilipita. Lakini they can be helped. Lakini inaonekana ya kwamba kuna pale tuliruka. I keep saying mtoto wa 2 years, what we call the impossible 2-year-old. Vile anakaa akiwa 2 year old with all that impasse na kwenda temper tantrums. If you don't curb them there, wait for them in teenage. They come in doubles.
Again, we've said,
So if they don't get the training here, then you realize sometimes it might be too late. Yes, in the teenage.
I think ile issue ambayo imeharibu teenagers today is because from the definition it is training, and any serious training takes time.
True.
You cannot go taking medicine because it is a training and do it in a single day like just any other seminar.
Sure.
Uende nyumbani ukiwa daktari. So this one is life. Discipline is a way of life. Discipline is life principles and lifestyle.
True.
So it requires ifunzwe kutoka vile umesema kutoka utotoni. Because ataenda aki-advance. By the time anafika mtu mzima, already ametrainiwa kutoka akiwa 1 day old.
They already know what is acceptable.
Amekuja hivyo mpaka that time. So that person, you shall note that will have a difference with somebody ambaye hakufunzwa utotoni. Sababu kama ulitusiana huku ambiwa ni vibaya, so ukifika mtu mzima sasa uwezi badilishwa.
Yeah, because there are those things we said they are unacceptable. So we said that if it is discipline, as you said, let it start early.
Yes.
So they already know how they are expected to behave.
Yes.
As the Bible says, even when they are old,
They will not forget.
they don't depart from it. But where does the training start?
From the early
Very.
age.
Tunasema samaki mkuje
Angali mbichi.
angali mbichi baadaye. Yeah. What will you do even as a teenager? It's good we have issues of counseling and some of them are being helped. But you realize it is even harder when they have never known that discipline from their own parents.
Yes.
Yeah, a teacher may try, but sometimes you realize the issues that we have. Yeah, and the issue is this. If we are disciplining our children, let's agree. As parents, it is our role. It is our responsibility. Let's start early. Let's also do it fairly. And when it comes to consistency, we are consistent in doing it. And we also agree on how to do it. Not one person doing it, the other one not doing it. Yes. And I believe there is much that we can talk and discuss. And I know, Avia, there are many things and questions you can ask. But still learning continues.
Yes.
So hatujamalizia na tujasema yote tumemaliza. Kuna mengi tunaweza soma. So we continue.
All right.
So thank you.
Stay tuned for the next lesson of the Marriage Classroom. To get the notes of today's lesson, visit www.mbcimedia.com/TMC. Catch the repeat of this episode every Tuesday at 10 p.m.